12D, dividing the political pie. In Canada, we use the plurality system to vote for, to find a winner to send to the parliament. And what we'll do in real life is we'll divide each region up, and each region is called the electoral district. Each region will have different candidates running against each other, and people who live in the region will vote, and the candidate with the highest vote will win the electoral district, and they will become the member of the parliament from that district. Now, what you'll notice is that in order to ensure fairness, each of the region that you see should have roughly the same number of people living in it, right? So this way, every part of the country will have equal amount of say, and your vote should be worth the same amount as someone else who lives in another part of the city or live in another part of the country, and you get to vote. Your vote will weigh the same. Now, as you know, our city grows. People move in and out of the city, and so every so often, every 10 years in Canada, we will redraw the boundaries to ensure that each of these regions will have similar number of people living in it. Now, gerrymandering is the name for drawing these boundaries in order to make sure that the politician in charge of drawing it, or the party in charge of drawing it, will gain an advantage. It comes from Gerry, the politician who first did this, and because it looks like a salamander in the satirical cartoon picture that you see over here, this process is called gerrymandering. And so in real life, what we want to do when we draw our district is the following. If you look at the number of voters that we have in this picture, we have 60% blue, 40% yellow, or if you want, you can just think of it as 3 columns that's blue, 2 columns that's yellow. So it's a 3-to-2 ratio. Now, if we're trying to vote for 5 candidates, if we're trying to divide these regions into 5 districts and have 5 winners, 1 winner for each of the districts, if I cut my regions like these, then blue will win them all. And that's not very good because we have some people who wanted yellow to win, right? In fact, we have quite a bit of people who would want yellow to win. So we would want something that's more proportionate. We would prefer, if this is our voter, we draw our boundary such that we get the same 3-to-2 ratio in the representative that wins, that we'll send to our parliament. We don't have to draw it in a nice straight line. You'll notice we can draw the boundaries a little bit in different areas that achieve the same result. But you'll notice we can also draw our boundaries so that only blue wins, or we can have yellow win more than their share, right? Yellow wins 3 over 2 for blue. Gerrymandering happens in real life too. And you'll notice the way the Texas electoral district were drawn, because city dwellers usually will vote for one particular party, and people who live in the countryside usually vote for another party. You'll notice that in this case, they divide the city people, the district, electoral district from the city up into two separate electoral districts. And they ensure that there are more people who live in the countries that will vote for one particular party to sort of overwhelm the city vote. And you notice this is not a good way of drawing our electoral boundaries, because the people who live in the cities doesn't really have a lot of interests or things in common with people who live in the countryside somewhere 100, 200, 300 kilometers away. You'll notice the same thing when they draw the district in North Carolina. You'll notice that this is a really weird district that spans almost the entire state in irregular shape through multiple cities. Let's do some math with these gerrymandering. Suppose we have 6 districts with 1 million people each, so we have 6 million people in total. Let's assume half of them are Democrats and half of them are Republicans. Now, if we have 6 seats, if we want to divide them proportionally, how many seats should each party get? Well, because it's half and half, because we have half of the voter vote for one party and half of the voter voting for another party, we should have 50% times 6, 50% times 6, 3 seats for each of the parties. Now, if we draw our boundaries so that we put everybody, we put 1 million people who vote for Democrat into one district, then of course, out of my 6 million people, 1 million people, 1 million Democrat goes into one district. So Democrat wins that district. But what you'll notice is that we still have 5 million people left. 2 million of them are Democrats, 3 million of them are Republicans. And what we can do is we can draw each district, each of the remaining 5 districts, and if they're the same proportion, we'll have more Republicans than Democrats, right? If it's the same proportion as 3 million Republican, 2 million Democrat, then each of these districts will have a little bit more Republican, a little bit less Democrat, and Republican will win them all, and that's called. And in the end, we'll end up with 5 Republican and 1 Democrat. So in gerrymandering, what we'll want to do is we'll want to concentrate the vote for one party in a few districts so that they can win those districts. But that's okay, we don't care. But in all the other districts, in all the other electoral districts, our party will have a little bit more than the other party. And we can win safely in those electoral districts. Now, if we have something that's more concrete, or if we have something that's with numbers shown over here, how do we find out what's the maximum and minimum number that we can elect? Now, we have to be careful. The side with more votes, they can, if we draw our boundary without restriction, they can win all the seats. Now, if you're not sure how this works, just look at our example over here. Notice how we have more blue than yellow. If I draw my boundary, each district has more blue than yellow, I can do that because we have more blue than yellow. I can draw them with the same proportion. And in the end, blue will win all the districts. You'll notice in this case, we have more Republicans than Democrats. So I can draw each district with the same proportion and Republican will win each district. So maximum number of Republicans elected is 8. Now, to think about the minimum number of Republicans that can be elected, it's easier to think about the other side. It's easier to think about the Democrats. How many seats can Democrat win at the most? You'll notice, in this case, 37.5% of the voters are Democrats. So we have 6 million voters for Democrats. We have 16 million people in total, 8 seats. So 16 million divided by 8, 2 million for each district. What we want to do is we want to distribute these 6 million voters, and we want them to win as many districts as we can. Now, each district has 2 million people in it. To win, we don't need to have 2 million. We just need a little bit more than half. Half is 1 million. A little bit more than half is 1,000,001 votes. So the number of that the Democrats can win is 6 million divided by 1,000,001, or 5.999. Now, remember, we cannot round up because we don't have enough votes to win more than 5.999. So we cannot win the 6th seat. The most we can win for Democrat is 5. Since there are 8 seats in total, the minimum Republican will be 3. Republican can win anywhere from 3 to 8. Whereas Democrat can win from 5 to 0. 0 because Republican can win them all.